You ever wonder what really separates a piece of technology that just works day in and day out from one that seems to fail the second the warranty expires? Well, the secret, it isn't usually in the gadget itself. It's in this hidden world of installation. See, behind every solid connection, every camera that weathers a storm, there's a whole chain of smart, deliberate decisions made by an expert. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, just look at these two pictures. On the left, you've got that classic spaghetti nightmare. On the right, it's pure organized clarity. Now, what's the real difference here? Because it's so much more than just looking nice. One of these is a ticking time bomb of glitches and headaches. The other is basically a blueprint for total reliability. And the gap between them comes down to just a handful of absolutely critical rules that every single pro lives by.
And the very first place you see this difference is right here, at the equipment rack. Think of this as the system's nerve center. The source material I was looking at puts this perfectly. The back of the rack, that's the installer's real business card. It tells you everything you need to know about their work ethic, their attention to detail, all without them saying a single word.
Now check this out. It's amazing how something this simple can be so incredibly destructive. A rookie or someone in a hurry, they're going to grab zip ties. They're fast, they're cheap. But on a data cable, that is a catastrophic mistake. When you cinch down a zip tie, you're putting this intense, focused pressure on the cable, literally crushing the tiny, delicate wires inside. That changes the cable's electrical properties and leads to weird data errors and a network that's just slow and unreliable. A pro, they're always going to use soft, reusable Velcro.
And you know, it's not just about crushing the cable, it's also about the path it takes. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine a data signal is just water flowing through a garden hose. Now what happens if you fold that hose in half? A really sharp kink. The water stops dead and the pressure shoots right back where it came from. Well, the exact same thing happens with a data signal. A sharp bend makes that signal literally reflect backward, and that corrupts the entire transmission. So this isn't just guesswork. There's an actual mathematical rule for this. The absolute tightest you should ever bend a network cable is a curve with a radius that's 4 times the cable's own diameter. You go any sharper than that, and you are playing with fire and risking the signal. This is one of those hard and fast rules in the world of professional installation. And here's the super simple visual check that anyone can do. Just look at the bend. Does it look like a sharp V? That's an instant fail. That's way too aggressive, and it's going to cause those signal problems we just talked about. What you want to see, what you're looking for, is this gentle, smooth U-curve. It's a quick glance that tells you right away if the installer knew what they were doing. You know, planning ahead is everything, because a true pro is always thinking about tomorrow, not just today. This right here is called a service loop. It's just a small, neat coil of extra wire that you leave at both ends, at the device, and back at the rack. Why do it? Well, things change, right? If a connector ever goes bad, you've got plenty of spare wire to fix it. If the client decides, hey, let's move this entire rack 5 feet to the left, you can actually do it without the nightmare of pulling a brand new cable all the way through the walls. It's foresight, made physical. So now we're going to move from the long run of the cable to that tiny little plastic connector on the very end of it. It looks so insignificant, right? But according to the security experts, this little piece of plastic is the single most common point of failure in an entire system. Getting this part right, it's absolutely everything. Okay, for data to actually flow the way it's supposed to, these 8 tiny little wires have to be in this exact order. This is the T568B standard, and in the pro world, it's not a suggestion, it's the law. But look at it. The sequence looks almost random, doesn't it? So why this specific, kind of weird order? So why does that bizarre order matter so much? Well, a rookie might try to wire it in what seems like a logical way. You know, putting the orange pair together, then the blue, then the green. And the craziest thing happens. The device will probably power on, but 0 data will get through. And the secret is in the twist of the wires inside the cable. The T568B standard is designed to keep the factory twisted pairs together. That's the magic that cancels out electrical interference from other wires. If you do it any other way, you get this thing called crosstalk, and your data signal is just gone. Okay, let's shift gears. We're moving out of the clean, dry data rack and into the great outdoors, where a totally new enemy shows up: water. And as the source material points out, water is incredibly patient. It will find and exploit any weakness, any shortcut, any tiny mistake an installer makes. It's a relentless battle. And here is one of the most common shortcuts that leads to disaster. See, every outdoor camera comes with this small rubber weather-tight connector. It's called a gland. Assembling it can be a little bit fiddly, so a lot of installers just toss it in the trash to save maybe 2 minutes on a job. And that tiny act of impatience, it's an invitation for catastrophe. And this is the inevitable result. Without that seal, rainwater will slowly, silently wick its way right down the outside of the cable and directly into the network port. Over time, it shorts out the connection, and then you see it, that telltale green corrosion of death. The device is toast. All because somebody wanted to save 2 minutes.
Now, a pro's defense against water starts with a simple bead of silicone sealant. You run it around the top and the sides of the outdoor mounting box. This creates your first line of defense, right? It stops rain from getting in from above. Pretty logical so far?
But then comes the critical, totally counterintuitive detail that separates the real pros from the amateurs. You never seal the bottom edge. And you're probably thinking, why on earth would you do that? Aren't you just leaving a door open for water to get in?
And this quote just explains it perfectly. See, the enemy isn't just rain coming in, it's condensation, moisture forming inside the box because of temperature swings. That unsealed gap at the bottom is called a weep hole. It's not for water to get in, it's a drain to let all that internal condensation get out. If you seal it up completely, you've basically just built a tiny aquarium that is going to slowly drown your very expensive electronics.
All right, so the cable is perfect, the connection is clean, the box is waterproofed like a submarine. The absolute final step is just making sure the thing doesn't fall off the wall. Choosing the right anchor for the right surface, that's the last piece of the craftsmanship puzzle.
And when we're talking about anchors, one size absolutely does not fit all. For a soft surface like drywall, a pro is going to use a toggle bolt, one of those ones that opens up behind the wall, spreading the load so it can't just pull out. For something hard like concrete, you need a special screw like a Tapcon that's designed to bite right into the masonry. And for hollow metal siding, the only right way is to use a riv nut, which actually creates brand new threads inside the thin metal. The principle is always the same. You have to match the anchor to the surface it's going into.
So when you put all these little things together, the Velcro instead of zip ties, the smooth U-bends, the service loops, the T568B wiring, the weep holes, the right anchors, you get more than just a camera that works. You get a signature. You get a statement about quality.
Which brings us right back where we started. Full circle. We began with this idea that the back of the rack is an installer's business card. And now you can really see why. That neatness, that organization, it isn't just for looks. It's a direct reflection of the discipline, the knowledge, and the foresight that they applied to every single hidden step of the job.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? These tiny details are the difference between a system that lasts 2 years and one that might last 20. So the next time you see a piece of tech out in the world just working perfectly, remember the unseen craftsmanship that probably made it possible. And it leaves you with a pretty big question. In our modern world of quick fixes, what really is the hidden cost of cutting corners?